When someone dies by suicide, it can turn your world upside down, and the feelings you have can be powerful, deeply painful, and overwhelming. No matter who the person is to you, a relative, friend, colleague, or acquaintance, you may be feeling confused at this time. This video series is designed to help those who have been bereaved by suicide. In this video, you will hear first-hand accounts of what happened in the first hours and days of someone dying by suicide.
The aftermath of suicide is devastating. I really think I couldn't function initially. I couldn't think. You see, I think people outside of our group, this group that no one wants to be part of, people outside that group don't really understand that bereavement by suicide is quite different. I lost my dad earlier in the year in 2014, and I grieved him. He was my best pal, but losing Evie to suicide was totally different.
Basically, I was at the deaf club and my husband was working away from home, and the police came to the deaf club and said the motto words, "Is there somewhere we can speak privately?"
It was something that you could never be prepared for how you feel and how to manage and cope dealing with a loss like that.
Worst thing ever. I could not have been further away if I could try, to be honest.
But one of the hardest things was, at that point, they then said to me, "You'll have to go and identify his body." And I said, "Can I wait till my husband comes home?" And he said, "No, we have to do it now." And it was so brutal. And I just couldn't believe it.
The trauma that you have afterwards, the guilt, the feelings that you have of if only and what if and why did I not do that, the questions that you never get the answers to. It just destroys your life. In that moment you become a different person, and it takes a long time to find a reason to keep going.
If I hadn't been away for 4 months, if I was there, could this might have not happened? Could he have maybe spoke to me? Yeah, I know I was in the military, we weren't I wasn't living at home or anything, but I thought maybe if I had seen him, maybe we'd have opened up to me and it might have never happened.
I had identified as a mother, and on that day I thought, that's it, I've no purpose anymore. Who am I? What am I now?
When someone decides to take their life and they don't tell you, then there's probably nothing I could do. If they didn't tell me they were going to do that, then I wasn't responsible. But it doesn't stop you from thinking that you contributed it in some way or you could have done something.
I found it really difficult in the early stages because Andrew didn't leave a note. He had made plans for the summer and we didn't know why he did it. I mean, we thought it might have something to do with his grandfather who had died the year before, but we weren't sure. And for a long time, that stopped me from moving forward with my grief, because I wanted to know why he did it, because he had so much to live for. And I couldn't, because all I wanted to know was why.
Initially, I didn't know where to look for support, and I certainly didn't know how to ask for support. My family kept me safe. My GP, who was also a friend, was super. He came round, I think, the day after Evie died, and he was really helpful. He gave me advice on don't make any sudden changes in your life. Yeah, he did offer support.
So when my daughter was taken into hospital while they were trying to resuscitate her, he was actually the GP on call, which I hadn't realised at the time. And he just offered me the most amazing support. He booked me in week after week as his last appointment of the day, and I don't think many GPs do that. And he had me there for as long as I needed and just answered any questions that I had. And some of the questions I was terrified to ask, and when I got the courage to ask them, he completely put my mind at ease. He just helped me understand why some people make some certain choices, and the way that I was feeling was absolutely normal.
So my name's Nisa, I'm a constable with Police Scotland and I work in the Lothians and Scottish borders. I'm a response officer, so I deal with all the 999 calls when police are needed. If you've lost a relative to suicide, it is likely that the police, somebody like myself, will come and inform you. If you found the body, it's possible that the police will be there along with other emergency services as well, and this is totally normal. Our job is to investigate and to gather all the information that's led up to the death and pass it on to the Procurator Fiscal. As part of the police investigation, we may have to ask some personal questions about the person that's died, and we realise that this is very, very difficult. It's really important that we get a full picture of the person and their life so that we can pass this on to the Procurator Fiscal to make sure that nothing is missed. We understand that these questions can be really, really difficult and distressing, and we wouldn't ask them if they weren't important. The Procurator Fiscal are a public body that work alongside the Crown. Their role is to look at all the circumstances, review them for any death that has possibly been a suicide. So as part of their investigation, they'll decide if further investigation is needed. We'll gather all the information at the start and send it to them, and they'll decide if they need other questions answered or if a post-mortem may be required. Views from the family will absolutely be taken into account, but if you have any objections, if there's any cultural or religious reasons that you do object to a post-mortem, it's very important that you contact the Fiscal and make them aware of this. Where possible, these will be taken into account, but sometimes the investigation does need to go ahead, and as such, a post-mortem will need to be carried out, but this will be discussed with you beforehand.
Basically, the doctor came up, she brought the Procurator Fiscal with them, and thank God, after a discussion, he phoned the police surgeon and told him that we didn't want Andrew to go through a post-mortem, and the police surgeon had said if he could do a post-mortem, if he could give it a certificate of death without doing a post-mortem, he would, and he did do that. I mean, I felt really lucky that we had the opportunity to put our point across, and I think a lot of people just go with the flow because they think that's what has to happen, and it's just trying to find the strength to make your feelings known.
After post-mortem is complete, a death certificate will be given to you, and that will have the initial cause of death on it. You need to take this with you when you're registering the death. So after a post-mortem, the Procurator Fiscal will decide if any further investigation is needed. Hopefully at this stage the body can be released back to the family and funeral arrangements can then take place. But again, this is something the Procurator Fiscal will discuss with you. There is support out there, and you will find more information about these supports as part of this video.
So after my daughter passed away, we had to wait for a post-mortem to be done, and when she came back, the undertakers were they were amazing. So my daughter was 13 when she passed away, and the undertakers were just the best support and so compassionate, and they deal with death day in, day out, but they just had a way of dealing with our situation and understood how difficult it was. When it came to planning the funeral, and they had absolutely every option there. You know, you didn't have to think too much, you just had to make a choice. Or they knew how to do it. They knew they had so many resources that they could pull from that you didn't have to do too much planning, if you know what I mean. They just helped you the whole way. And even when it came to getting a headstone, I was very specific on the one that I wanted. I didn't want one that was just like everyone else's, and they got that for me. And yeah, they just were so helpful and so compassionate.
We had the minister come round and we sat and went through what we wanted them to say and stuff. We got an opportunity to obviously say our own things, but I wasn't really one for speaking out in a massive place. So obviously I wrote a couple of bits down that he would then read when it came to it. You were trying to put down like happy memories from when we were younger, and obviously things like the kind of car I said I was always going to get, and Andrew was looking forward to getting that kind of car, my dream car that I wanted to get. So we put all that kind of down, but I found it not too bad actually, because it was the happier times that we were writing down. So it kind of took you away from what was kind of going on, and it kind of helped with that process. The funeral's never amazing, are they? But I was surprised when we went down to the church in Jedburgh, the place was just full. Like, I have never seen a place full. But again, it's his age, and he was liked by a lot of people. And I think a lot of people from the town were just shocked as well, you know what I mean? Again, such a young age to take his life. But that was one of the bits I remember, just walking in, and the place was full, like absolute full, like.
So in the Scottish Borders, we have an information leaflet called Support for People Bereaved by Suicide, and in that leaflet is information about various supports that are available, such as Samaritans, who have the Facing the Future support group, survivors of bereavement of suicide, they've got a local support group in the Borders, and they also have a national support line, and Crews, who also provide bereavement support.
We can provide advice and information on lots of different things that might be useful for the next of kin. First of all, I think I should mention the Tell Us Once service, which can be accessed on gov.uk website, which is a quick and easy way of reporting the death of a person. When someone's death is registered, they're given a unique reference number, and that reference number is required to use the Tell Us Once service. Then notifications are sent to HMRC, for example, DWP, Social Security Scotland, Passport Office, DVLA. That way, that avoids the hassle of contacting these organisations individually. And then the passports can be cancelled, the license can be cancelled, any benefits that are being paid will be stopped. So that's one of the main things that might be useful for the next of kin. They can also contact the DWP bereavement support service. Then again, that way they're notifying the DWP, and then the DWP can stop any benefits if the deceased person has been in receipt of any benefits. And they will also be given information on how to apply for bereavement support payment, funeral support payment, things like that. Because it's all depends on their individual circumstances. It's when someone gets in touch with us, by gathering information, we can provide more specific advice for them.
To get in touch with Citizens Advice Scotland, locate your nearest bureau, or for more information about their services, please visit cas.org.uk.
her stuff became everything to me, like so important. Keeping things like her bedroom intact the way it was when she was here, making sure that her toothbrush didn't get lost. That was put in her bedroom, kept along with all her toiletries, and she had a mirror in her bedroom that had her fingerprints on it. I think it was about 7 years before I washed the mirror. I done little bits every now and then. It took a few years before we folded up our bedding and put it in sort of bags and into a cupboard. And I've still got in a drawer, I've got her toothbrush, her toiletries, her moulds from when she got her teeth done for braces, and all her little pieces, junk that she found important that are now important to me. Still struggle with some stuff, and what do I do with that? Do I put it in the attic, or do I give it away to someone? Yeah, so it sits waiting for an answer.
If you're struggling with anything that you have heard about in this video, please use the resources available and reach out for help. Further information about support for people bereaved by suicide is available at www.nhsborders.scot.nhs.uk/suicide prevention.